Hello and welcome back to the best of Rslash. Today we're taking a look at PettyRevenge. I'm in a class where group research project presentation is a huge chunk of overall points. Everyone knows in group projects you always have that one slacker who doesn't do anything that you have to compensate for. However, I got stuck with possibly the 3 worst people to be in a project with in class. I did the entire research, presentation, poster boards, etc., among many other annoying things myself. I tried talking to them and telling them they need to put in their share of effort. Ignored. I'd send them tasks to do. Ignored. I tried to schedule meetings. They said they were coming and then they'd leave me alone at the library. This happened from the get-go. I was abundantly clear that they expected everyone else to do the work, but everyone else turned out to be just me. Rule: we couldn't have things 100% memorized word for word, and we couldn't read off anything. We had to actually know the subject. I was fully prepared to do most of the talking, and even wrote down a small script for them and told them to know what to say during that part, at the very least. The night before, I told them we had to meet to at least go over the whole thing one time. Once again, none of them showed. At this point, I'm livid and decide they can just do it themselves, which means they'd get up there, not know a damn thing to say other than the small info I gave them, and couldn't even bullshit anything because they did no research. Thing is, if we miss without an excuse, we fail the project. If you have an excuse, you have to have documentation. I commute and live an hour away, so I decide that I'll conveniently have a flat tire right before class. Went out and actually bought a tire so I could have the receipt to prove it. Emailed the professor, who said I can present by myself during his office hours. Turns out they completely bombed, and not only probably failed the project, but since they're bad students, might even make them fail the class. Hey, that is such a good story. I thought you were gonna take the F, but instead you actually turned it around and got to present it by yourself. Well done, OP. Good job. OP then left an edit and said the professor stated at the beginning that they were not allowed to contact him about people slacking in the group, and said to work it out amongst yourself. Said that we were adults and that he couldn't even respond to emails about it. Yeah, nice job, OP. This next one has been posted by the 803 Project. The title probably doesn't make too much sense, but it will after reading. I'm on mobile, so formatting. Alright, background. When I was hired for the job, which I currently work, I was hired to work on Tuesday through Saturday from 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. This had been my schedule for months, never changing, as I was verbally told that this was my set schedule. I even clarified this because I had to arrange childcare. For example, one week I was accidentally left off the schedule entirely and was told to just work on my normal schedule. Around Thanksgiving time, we closed down for a week. The company policy is that you have to work your last scheduled shift before the break and your first scheduled shift in order to get your holiday pay. On the Monday following Thanksgiving, remember, I'm normally off on Mondays, I got a call saying that I was scheduled to work and that because I didn't come in, I wouldn't get my holiday pay. This kind of pissed me off because I had been told I would work Tuesday through Saturday and thus had only arranged childcare those days, so I couldn't come in that day even if I wanted to. The exact phrase I was told over the phone was, "It is your responsibility to check the schedule every week because we don't have set schedules." Fast forward to this week. While checking the schedule, I noticed that my schedule is the same as normal, with the exception that I'm off the schedule on Saturday. So I decided to not look a gift horse in the mouth and just take the 3-day weekend and don't mention to my boss that she left me off. So Saturday, which I would normally work, I don't go since I'm not scheduled. I got a call from work and didn't answer. No voicemail left. Then I receive a text from my boss saying that my schedule never changes, and it will be a no call, no show on my attendance record for not coming back to work. I replied that I am not on the schedule and so I'm not required to come in, as it is my responsibility to check the schedule every week because we don't have set schedules. I received no further reply and am looking forward to seeing how work goes on Tuesday. Then OP leaves an update in another post. Hey all, as promised, my update to my post from a couple days ago. Thanks to all for advice about the situation, things to consider, etc. Before work today, I had a follow-up interview yesterday for the new job I mentioned in the comments and in the edit. I was offered the position I wanted and was told I could start as soon as I want. I came into work today intending to work the shift before leaving, as it's the last day of the pay period. When I got to work today, I clocked in and didn't see any managers or anything, so I started working. After 15 minutes or so, my boss came out and asked, "OP, you really couldn't come in on that Saturday?" Obviously, they knew the answer, and I said no. They then asked me what I was doing that I couldn't work my usual shift. I replied that it wasn't their concern what I do on a day I'm not at work. They simply nodded and walked away. About an hour later, boss came over and asked to see me for a minute. I got to their office, and there's a manager, there above me and lower than boss, sitting in there as well. A condensed version of the discussion. Boss has to write up and gives me a spiel about the attendance policy and said I have to get written up for a no-call, no-show. I refused to sign the write-up, as I wasn't scheduled, so I couldn't no-call, no-show a shift if it's not scheduled. Manager seemed a little confused. I don't think they were told that boss didn't put me on the schedule and that's why I didn't show up. So I pulled a picture up of the schedule on my phone and show it to the manager, who then agrees with me that it isn't a no-call, no-show. Boss said I know what my normal schedule is as a full-time employee, and so I should have clarified that it wasn't a mistake. I said it wasn't my responsibility to double-check the schedule they put out and reminded them that I was told my responsibility was to check the schedule every week because we don't have set schedules. Boss said something about, for future reference, about my normal schedule, and I said okay and asked if I could go now. I debated whether or not to stay the rest of the shift before deciding to go ahead and leave. So I wrote and signed and documented a note saying I was quitting effective immediately, and I left it on the boss's desk and told the manager on my way to the time clock. This is the first and only time I've quit without giving 2 weeks notice. Sorry the ending wasn't more excited, but I'm super excited to be starting a new job and I'm happy having been able to share my story. The revenge was satisfying to me and I'm glad to be starting a better job with a better environment. Thank you all for enjoying it with me. And thank you, OP, for letting us enjoy this with you, because this is satisfying. This next post has been posted by Zo3F. So this is more of an annual revenge thing. About 5 years ago, a greedy councilman put up 3 two-story apartments next door to our house. One of these has a direct view of our pool area, and a grouchy woman and her husband moved into it. Anywho, as we have done in the 15 summers before they got here, we all went for an afternoon swim. The woman was on her balcony and made a huge, dramatic fuss about going back inside and closing her curtains. She then screeched at her husband when he tried to go outside. It's not like we were indecent or anything, just in our swimsuits. We laughed about it and continued having a nice afternoon at the pool while she roasted inside. A few days went by and I decided it was too hot to be inside and went for a dip. I was in the middle of uni and this was the only time I'd ever leave the house between assignments and tests. Now I do not have a body that stops traffic. I am a regular plump human whose Dorito-loving habits have begun to show around the lower body area. I take off my sarong and jump into the pool. After a few minutes, I sense someone watching me. Look up and find a man on the balcony smoking and staring at me. I make a bit of an aggressive "what" gesture and he scurries back inside, only to return with the woman in tow. The conversation went something along the lines of, "Excuse me, could you not swim when my son is out here smoking? He lost his job and this is the time he'd normally smoke, and you're out here naked and distracting him. Ew, he's the age of my dad. He can smoke on your front balcony, and I've lived here for, at the time, 15 years, so you can't blame me for being here naked, which I'm not. I'm swimming. I'm just asking you to be considerate, okay?" At this point, the grown-ass man baby was looking smug. "If you don't like it, then move." And I continued swimming. They stood there for another 5 minutes before once again going inside and closing the sliding patio doors and curtains. Also, I was not naked or indecent. I wear full swimsuits because I'm a little insecure about my belly, hence the whole Dorito paragraph. I told my parents, and the next day my mom joined me in the pool to show them, and I quote, "what real traumatizing thighs look like." But that got me thinking though. I could make their summers a living hell if closing all their curtains was how they go about seeing us in the pool. So now, every summer, weather permitting, I go out and flash my thighs for a few hours in the afternoon and have them roast up in their apartment. It's been 5 years of this, and I will continue doing this until the day I leave home. And then OP leaves an edit. Also, you guys have been so wholesome about this. My Dorito thighs give thanks for the acceptance. I love this story. Thank you, OP, for sharing this with us. This next one has been posted by Film Cup. I wasn't a bad dad. My son turned out pretty good. Journeyman electrician and works at a Fortune 500 company. Anyways, when he was 16, which was a long time ago, he needed $30 for a school trip. I gave it to him several days in advance. The night before the school function, he told me he'd spent it and needed another $30. I finally forced it out of him that he'd bought weed. I don't have a problem with that. If you put all the things I've smoked in a pile, it would be bigger than a house. But now he needed more money. So I said, okay, you go with me to the store and do what I ask, and I'll give you more money, and even throw in a little extra. He agreed, having pretty much no choice. I grabbed something out of the kitchen on the way out. We went to Target, kind of an upscale joint around here for simple stuff. But before we got out of the car, I told him the deal. You have to wear a hat made of this aluminum foil, and you can't talk to anybody. If someone says something or asks you a question, just mumble, "I can't take it again, not like last time." He agreed. I made the hat, included a little point on the top and 2 flaps that covered the ears. I put kind of a tail at the back. It looked perfect. I walked around the store, and he had to stay at least 10 feet away so people wouldn't think we were together. I heard him mumble unintelligent shit a few times as people stared and walked past. He never broke character, and we walked through nearly every section. Electronics, toys, men's and women's clothing, auto, pharmacy, food. It took nearly 45 minutes for me to grab the 3 things we went for. I gave him the cart and enough money to pay for it and watched as he went through the line. When we got back to the car, I said, "F it." He did a good job, and I gave him $50. Edit. I thought about making him buy a pack of condoms, a raw chicken, and some Vaseline, but I just got what we went there for: engine oil, a head of lettuce, and some eye drops. Edit 2. For all wondering about how much damage his psyche experienced, he graduated with honors, became a licensed journeyman electrician, and is employed by a world-renowned company. This happened nearly 20 years ago. He now has 3 lovely kids of his own, which might also clear up some of the pricing of weed comments. He's the kid who could name all the planets in order when he was 3 years old. He knew I'd give him the money whether he did anything or not. I think he accepted the terms to get the little more and maybe to have a good time with Dad to make up for spending it on weed. I am quite proud of him. And OP, I would also be proud of him if he did something like that. And then Shelaton posts in the comments, I am now almost 35, female, and when I was 12, I wanted my earlobes pierced a second time. My dad agreed, but with the caveat that whenever he would say, "Hi, ho, Silver, away," I would respond with, "Get him up, Scout," for the rest of my life. I readily agreed, and he has used this to embarrass the hell out of me. But in late 2018, I was in a coma for a week, hospital for 3 months, battled sepsis and a bunch of surgeries. When I was finally more cognizant of everything, I was coming to, and he says, "Hi ho, Silver, away," and I could barely talk. My vocal cords were damaged, but I got out a "Get 'em up, Scout." Now he does it more often just to make sure I'm okay. Awesome revenge, but for sure you'll be laughing about this later. Yo, this is not a petty revenge. This is amazing parenting stories. That's what this is. You have been listening to the best of Rslash. If you like what we're doing, please leave a thumbs up. It really helps our channel to grow. Also, we make content like this every single day, 7 days a week, so please subscribe if you want to hear more.